you would have seen some information about the launch of two new programs. And again, these were programs that were discussed in an update provided by Canada's immigration minister in the last year. And so these programs have now been launched. So two programs that were recently launched. One is the rural community immigration program. Just going to pull them up for you. They're pilots, actually. So we have the rural community immigration pilot, and we have the Francophone community immigration pilot. So these are two new pilots that have been launched today, actually. And again, they provide a really great opportunity for candidates, newcomers, whether in Canada or outside of Canada, who are looking at finding permanent residency options. So these are direct permanent residency programs, and I'm going to touch a bit on these and how you could benefit from applying. So the rationale behind these two programs is to attract newcomers to certain minority and rural communities that need the skills for they need particular skilled workers to populate the region and to, of course, support local businesses and employers in the region that need labor force. So we find that in some of these regions, they face challenges in their labor market and, of course, demographic challenges as well, because the majority of newcomers to Canada tend to settle in more urban centers. And so if you're looking at coming to Canada and you're not finding success with some of the mainstream programs, you may want to consider settling in smaller communities where you'll have a greater opportunity to apply for PR, and not only PR as well, but jobs, right? Job availability. You can find some really good jobs. You can get certain positions that you might not be able to get in some of the larger metropolitan areas because of competition, among other factors. So it's a great way to gain valuable Canadian work experience that can help to support you should you decide to go elsewhere in Canada, right? So these are really great programs. So it's and I will definitely provide some additional info. I just wanted to announce those and mention those. There are about 18 communities that are participating across different provinces. So we have communities in Nova Scotia, Ontario, Manitoba. We have one here in Saskatchewan, so that's in Moose Jaw. We have Alberta, BC, right? So communities across different provinces that are participating. With the Francophone program, that's a Francophone community immigration pilot, the aim is to bring French-speaking newcomers to Canada who are going to settle in these Francophone minority communities outside of Quebec. So the government wants to promote the French language outside of Quebec and provide opportunities for settlement of French-speaking immigrants across Canada. And again, for the French pilot, we do have communities in New Brunswick, Ontario, Manitoba, as well as in BC. All right. So lots of opportunities there. And for more details about these programs and to determine whether you may be eligible, you can certainly feel free to contact us. Like I said, generally working with us starts with an initial consultation. So go ahead and reach out to our team and we'll be happy to support you with this. You will find for one of the common things for this program, though, is because it's community driven. So like I said, there are 18 communities that are participating for the rural immigration pilot. Because it's community driven, what you'll find is that each of the communities will have an individual website. Most of the websites are not yet launched, but we will provide additional details once those are up and running. But essentially, how these usually work, you'll have employers within each communities that are recruiting, there will be a community website, which is essentially a job board. So it will tell you all about the community application process, the jobs that are available in that particular participating community, and applicants can then, based on that, take action to work towards getting a job within one of the participating communities, right? So it's community driven. So bear that in mind. And then finally, there are some updates coming from Ontario. So, and this is in particular for physicians. So if we have any, physicians joining us, then this is an opportunity for you, whether you're inside or outside Canada. So through the Ontario has a couple, they call them employer job offer streams. And one is a foreign worker stream, and the other is the foreign worker stream. And then the other streams, which are non-job offer streams. So we have the express entry human capital priority stream, as well as the French-speaking skilled worker stream. So they release an update, which will make it a lot easier for physicians who seek to apply through any of Ontario's, these particular Ontario immigration programs, to do so on the basis of their self-employed work experience. So generally, for most of these programs, you will not be able to use self-employed work experience to qualify. And so they have made some changes that will allow self-employed physicians who may have a practice. So maybe you're working in Ontario, or maybe you're working with the government on a fee-for-service basis. And in those capacities, then you're generally seen as self-employed. And so they are making an exception right now for these physicians to be able to use that work experience to qualify for these immigration programs. And the same is also the case for the express entry aligned streams. And with the express entry streams, it's not just for in Canada applicants, it's also for applicants who are overseas as well. So in the same way, based on the particular, so there's a few NACOs that will be eligible under this change. So whether they're applying under the Federal Skilled Worker Program or the Canadian Experience Class Program, they can use their self-employed work experience to qualify for the program, so to meet the minimum experience requirements based on the particular program. So that is a great update there from Ontario that I wanted to share. And I see there were some questions. I'm just going to take a couple questions before I go. All right, so I see a couple questions. Some of them I'm not. So somebody says from Algeria, I'm just confused about Canadian immigration programs. They're also complicated. Why? That's a good one. Yeah, immigration can be complex. And right now for Canada, there are over 100 programs, right? And it it boils down though to the individual, and which is why we try to provide these types of sessions where we can provide you with information. But it can be an overwhelming feat if you try to take it on by yourself. And so that is why if you go to our website, we have a free pre-assessment where you can actually complete the pre-assessment form, and our team would respond to you to indicate in which direction you probably should be going in terms of immigration prospects. That is also why we encourage potential clients to do an initial consultation, because it helps you to have an idea of where you should be going in terms of program. Because if you have all of these programs, it does get confusing which one would be the best pathway, which one may have the least in terms of requirements, which one would have less in terms of processing times, and there are just a lot of intricacies for the various pathways. And so that is why we are here. That is why we do these lives and provide you with all of this information. so that we can support you with your Canadian immigration goals. But it's definitely not something that the average person should take on by themselves. Reach out for help. We're here. Reach out to our team. We'll be happy to assist you with navigating the complexities of the immigration system. Let me see what other questions I can. Let me just come over here. Okay, so how about persons without status that are looking for status? If you're in Canada and you have, for whatever reason, you have lost your status, there may be options, but the important thing is how quickly you are acting, right? You know, it the options that will be available to you. So the longer you're out of status, the less options you'll have. Let me put it that way. So it's important that as soon as you lose status, or well, first you don't want to be in that position where you lose your status. So always seek to get help before you get to that point. So if your status is running out, your work permit or whatever it is might be expiring soon, it's highly recommended to start that process to get help in advance of that happening. However, if you find yourself in that situation where your status has expired, um, you do want to do an initial consultation. I would highly recommend that as soon as possible. Don't just stay there with your status being expired. There may be options that you might not be aware of, but like I said, the longer the time period that you're out of status, the harder it will be for you. So that's the best advice I could give. Make sure to get help, whether it's from us or wherever. Do get some help with seeing what your options might be before it gets too late. All right, so I'm going to take one more questions. Do we do visa applications? Yes, we do visa applications. Somebody says, is it possible for me to get a job before relocating to Canada as a skilled immigrant? So, yes, it is possible. And I've had a lot of clients who have done that. I can also say, though, it's not the easiest thing to do to secure it. And also, I will quantify that was or qualify that was saying it depends on what you do, right? It depends on the type of job that you're looking for and the specific occupation that you're in. But it is possible, but I would say especially now more and more it's becoming a lot harder. I usually tend to recommend looking at pathways that don't require a job. If you can look at pathways that don't require a job offer first, explore those options or exhaust those options first before going down the job path. Um, Unless it's like some of the programs I mentioned today, like the two that are launching, unless it's programs like those that are brand new. We have specific communities and employers that are looking for immigrants. They're open to overseas candidates, and there's a great demand, right? So it depends on where you're looking, because each region, each community, each province will be different and will have a different labor market. So bear that in mind. So on my last one, how do I go about this pathway? I'm a Nigerian RN. I'm assuming you're talking about the caregiver program. I would recommend going back and looking at the video once the live ends. But like I mentioned, with the caregiver program, you would definitely need a job offer with an employer in Canada, whether it's an individual household or a company. So that would be the first thing. If you are a registered nurse, though, you might have other options that don't require a job offer. So if you're in healthcare, skilled trades, any of the trades, construction, um, You have STEM occupations, information technology, transport, trades and transport. You have there are a few there are a few occupations or sectors that will have greater demand than others. So if you're in any of those, then you will have a lot more opportunities in terms of programs that are specifically designed to attract people with work experience and skill set in those areas. So bear that in mind, especially if you're in healthcare, there are a lot of, options and opportunities. I think all of my clients who are in healthcare, they usually go through the application process really quick because of the demand. Also, if you're French speaking or if you're willing to learn French, you can give yourself that upper hand and that edge over other candidates. A lot of the programs right now are going, towards a more pool-based approach, and so our format, and so some candidates might stand out more than others. And it also, like I said, immigration is both federal and provincial. So there will be a factor as well based on where you're looking, which province and so on. And each of the individual provinces will also have different focus. They will have, different occupations that are in demand and different areas that they want to focus on based on the labor market needs in that particular province. So I recommend, doing a consultation with our team, and then we can help you to really narrow down where you should be focusing on, what programs, what are the requirements, what are the documents that are needed, and how to go about making an application. All right. So thank you guys for joining me today. And I trust you have been able to find value in this information. Reach out if you have questions, and I'll catch up with you guys next time. Thank you.